Hi everyone. I'm out here trying to hide my unmade bed. Ignore. Just a note before watching the episode. I have new equipment that we recorded with camera and ring light, but it seems I was a bit too excitable throughout the recording, and you may hear some background sounds, of the mic being disturbed, something a little like that. So please bear with us and enjoy the episode. Thank you very much. All right, let me know when you're ready to go.
Shall I count us in? Okay. Ready?
Hi.
How you doing, my Hlabi Hlabi?
Why are you shaking your head? It's true.
Hello.
Before we dive in, now I'm ready. I have a light and I have a camera. I have new equipment. I have new equipment. Welcome to Quality Control Podcast. I'm your host, Hlabi, and we're with my co-host, Feeya. Today we're covering Spinners, episode 4 to 6. We're continuing our covering of Spinners, episode 4 to 6. Spinners is available on Showmax South Africa, Amazon, and ITV internationally. ITVX, sorry, with subscription in the UK. So yeah, go ahead. We'll dive right into it. Before we say hello to Fee, we're gonna just do some housekeeping. We are on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Quality Control Pod, at Quality Control Pod. Quality spelled normal, control spelled CNTRL without the O's. If you want to get in contact with us, give us some feedback, make suggestions, send us memes. Apparently, this is how you send us memes, according to our social media aficionado and master Feeya of House Asmal. You can email us at qualitycontrolpodcast11 at gmail.com. Once again, that is qualitycontrolpodcast.podcast11 at gmail.com. Podcast and control, sorry, control spelled normally. So there are O's in it. And that is a quick rundown of our housekeeping. Also, before I forget, spoiler warning. Yes, we will be talking anything and everything about spinners so far. So if you haven't listened to our first episode, which covers episodes 1 to 3, we will be spoiling events that happened then and there. And finally, this is an adult podcast. Yes, we say big people naughty words like F's and poo poo words, but that start with SH. Well, that start with S and it's spelled SHIT. Yes, I am very excited about my new equipment. If you haven't noticed, say hello, Feeya.
Hello, Hlabi.
Thank you for that present. You were mature for once. Wow, refreshing.
Yes, I decided to give over the childishness to you because you deserve the joy. You actually look very nice in 1080.
Well, 720 because we're on Riverside free. 1080s for those of us who pay, which we will get to at one point soon.
Yeah,
Yes.
when all of you decide to start funding us, like we're gonna set up a Patreon just as soon as you show us that you're there to support us.
These are facts. This is true. Word to life. Word to mother. Forgot where that's from. Word to mother. Oh, Via wants money. She wants all the shmoney. Such a capitalist, this lady. Oh, she's gonna get so insulted by that. Look at her face. I can push your buttons too. I also know how to do that. You're welcome. Let's
Yes,
get
I
on with
know,
the show,
which
Fia.
is
We don't
why
have
I
time
drink
for
my
this.
jolly on this pod.
We don't have
Okay,
time
everyone.
for this, Fear. Okay, we need to get straight into the overview. Gosh, such a disruptor. So disruptive.
Right, cutting straight through the fat. No, we're not. But okay, I really struggled to write this overview. We're overviewing episodes 4 to 6 of Spinners. Oh my god, you guys, so much happened.
Hmm.
So bear with me. If you think like you're missing some things, yeah, you probably are. My brain has been fried for the last couple of weeks.
Hmm.
Um, and so I did my best, okay? Just putting that out there.
Hmm.
Okay, thanks. Love you. Bye. Right, overview episodes 4 to 6 of Spinners. After surviving the shootout in episode 3, Ethan is arrested for robing. Ha ha ha. I'm gonna try that again.
I'm not editing it out. Go, go,
Yeah, I figured you
go,
might not, because you're
go,
lazy.
go! Excuse me?
Payback. Right, let's see. Episodes 4 to 6 of Spinners. After surviving the shootout in episode 3, Ethan is arrested for robbing the local cafe. Nazim, the cop, he pulls a renegade move and threatens Ethan into turning snitch. Damien,
Mm,
meanwhile, has embraced chemo and is making moves to ensure his family's comfort. He sets up a
mm,
heist for which he needs Ethan to drive. Ethan, meanwhile, impresses a driving scout and is invited to drive in Pearly Bay. Ooh. After some incredible driving, the celebrations are cut short by the arrival of Damien and Hercules, who cart Ethan off to the heist. The heist goes badly, but not because of Ethan. After confirming this, Damien exiles Ethan, who is then promptly arrested, of course. He's charged with robbery, but very soon he's out on bail and in community service. Amber, suffering with PTSD after a car incident, gives up her spot and her car to the underdogs just before Kayla's ex drags Kayla into more drug troubles, or drug money troubles rather, with Damien's rival gang, the what brothers?
oh shit. I forgot.
The other brothers,
The bros, yeah,
the
the brothers.
brothers.
The brothers, yes.
And that turn of events also drags Ethan back into the life that he just escaped. Kayla and
Mm,
Ethan narrowly escape a beach execution as Kayla shoots the eldest brother, Lester.
mm.
And that's where we end. Um,
So wait, before you go on, I think you're talking absolute bullshit. You pulled it off. When you said I struggled with this, I'm like, maybe you did struggle. It doesn't show. It's 2 paragraphs. That's so like,
yeah,
yeah, this
yeah.
is dope. This is good.
Because there was so much that I needed to put in there, and I was like, you know what, just cut everything. I
Yeah.
didn't even get into what happened with Amber. I'm just like, y'all can watch the episode and then, come
Yes, a
back and
lot there.
listen, I guess.
I do want to say I think it is important that because you mentioned it when Damien and Hercules go to the event and get Ethan, they do shoot up the place. They fire some shots in the air to scatter people, and that really like hurts Ethan's reputation and whatnot. Yeah, it makes people scared of him and get to be around him. Yeah, I think it's an important thing to mention there. Cool, but well done, dude. You know, for someone who is elite, and I mean, we've said this before, but elite at dyslexia, that's fantastic. Like, fucking good job, man. Good job.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's jump straight into favorite things so far. This can be a character, this can be a scene, this can be the style of filmmaking. It could be the cinematography, it could be location, whatever the case may be. Favorite thing, and let's start with you, Fear. Do you have a favorite thing so far in the second
Once
act?
again, I'm writing for Uncle Gary.
Hmm.
What a dad, what a dad, what a dad, what a mighty
What a
good
mighty
dad.
good dad. Yes, and the cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's one thing I wanted to remember as you're talking. That he's this single dad who cooks. And he's known for his cooking. The boys are always like, hey, what are we eating today? Because Uncle Gary's got the juice. Yeah, sorry. Please keep going.
No,
What
that's it.
about Uncle
Uncle
Gary?
Gary. Uncle Gary, I'm a ride for him. I think there's so many layers to Uncle Gary. Like you mentioned the
Hmm.
cooking, the boys, they have their home there. Like he's gone all the time, but when he's there, he's there. And he also makes sure
Yeah.
that he shows up for his son.
Hmm.
Bro, like this man is a trucker and he makes sure that he's there to go and watch the boys drive and
Yeah.
spin,
Yeah.
you know? Um Also, it just now occurred to me that we never talk about driver's licenses. These kids are out here, 16,
Oh yeah.
17.
Yeah.
We've not once thought about
No.
driver's licenses.
No, but this is South Africa. Let's just be frank. Come now. Come now. A driver's license is a formality in many
Yeah,
senses.
yeah, yeah,
Of
yeah.
like, if you don't
I
have
think
it,
it's important to know. that we can only get our driver's licenses at 18, though. I think America's a bit different. You can
Yes.
start to drive at 16, I think. Um,
In I think some states, but South Africa as well, but to a lesser degree.
no,
You can get a
but we
learner's
have to
permit.
have, yes, we have to
Yes,
have
you have to have an
a
adult, well, a
seasoned
person
adult
with a,
driver. Somebody
yes,
above 25, actually, I think is the actual law.
yes, I think so.
Like it
Yeah,
can't be somebody who's
yeah.
just 18, unless
Mm.
they've changed that. Or I mean, not that people enforce it. Like we said, this is an entire thing about spinning teenagers. Not
Yes.
a single time has anybody talked about driver's licenses. I don't know why that thought just occurred to me. But on the topic of like parents and father,
Mm.
um, yeah, Uncle Gary, he cooks, he rides for these kids. We know because of a comment that another character makes that this man was a force to be reckoned with. He actually, like, he stands his ground to somebody that he knew from his old life and was like, no, I've given that shit up. And he stood there until that person was like, okay, respect.
Yeah, respect that. Yeah.
And then
And then
as he
what did he
walked
say when
away,
he
that guy
leaves?
was also
Yes.
like, I don't believe that though. Like if he says so, he says so. But you know what? Don't challenge him on it because that man will fucking kill you.
I don't think it was like, I don't believe that. But he was like to his homie, he was like, yeah, don't let that fool you. Like, sure, we believe him and I believe he's moved on. But if you mess with that motherfucker, what did he say? He's like cold blooded, bro. He's like stone cold killer. That guy's cold blooded. Like, he was a legend. Fucking Uncle Gary, bro. I'm pretty sure Uncle Gary has
Uncle
killed like at
Gary.
least 5 people. I feel like he's murdered at least like 5 motherfuckers. That energy
He
from that
was,
seasoned
yeah,
guy. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
yeah, yeah. Which also makes it a little bit heartbreaking and also like, yeah, there's that killer instinct. So eventually, after Hercules and Damien go and grab Ethan from the spinner competition in Purdy Bay, Uncle Gary drives a drill through not Tony,
Shane's
that's
engine.
not his name.
Shane.
Shane, thank you. Jeez.
Where did you get Tony, bro?
No, the next name I was going for was Noah. Who the fuck is Noah?
Who are these people, bruh? Like, when you said Tony, I started thinking of the rapper Schoolboy Q. He's got a song Groovy Tony, and Schoolboy is like a gangster rapper in the US. And so I was like, if you knew that, maybe, but you don't. So I'm like, oh, why
No.
Tony? And then Noah. Okay, you weirdo.
Torn. No. Shane.
Shit. Jesus, bruh, you're not even. I was about to make a mean joke, and I'm not going to.
The dyslexia is dissing today, my friend.
That's what I was about to say, but I was like, you're not even reading these names. What's going on?
Back on track. Okay, so Uncle Gary, the stone cold killer, snow cone killer. He forbids Shane. There we go.
We just clarified this now.
Listen, I had a long
Shit.
day yesterday. Okay.
It's today though. We're here today at the end of today. So we're,
Oh
we're
my
not even at the
god.
beginning of today. We're at the end of today. Bro. So how does that play?
Try again, you guys. Okay, let me try and fix my hair as well, so it doesn't look like I just rolled out of bed, which I totally didn't. Um, right, Uncle Gary, I'm ride or dying for that stone cold Steve Austin killer. Uncle Gary drives a drill through Shane's engine because he forbids Shane from seeing Ethan ever
Yeah.
again. And Ethan goes, but he's my friend. And Uncle Gary knows that teenage boys are going to be teenage boys. But he's like, fine, I can't prevent that, but I can prevent you guys from going into competition with each other and getting yourself into a situation like Pearly Bay again, where somebody threatens
Mm.
you with a gun. I can prevent that. And he knows that his son is going to resent him. He knows it, but he does
Yes.
it anyway because that's a dad.
Mm. I feel you. Yeah, I feel you. I just want to add in quickly. I think we spent about 7 minutes on Shane's dad. I just want to put that out there. That's on you.
Sorry, man. I'm writing. On the topic of dads. Amber's dad is also a hottie. Can we just?
He's a hottie with a body and a dummy too. It's so clueless. such such an idiot.
Incredibly so. But also such a
Fuck.
typical dad. Like on the topic
Yes.
of parents and riding or dying,
Mm,
Amber's mother is also like she's a real one. That's what I
yeah.
said in our notes. I said Amber's mom. That's a real one.
Mm,
Um, her dad may be a hottie, but he's a typical negative EQ father figure.
yes.
Yawn.
Yeah. Nothing more to say there. um, can we get to my favorite thing so far?
If we
Can we?
must.
Okay. Um, I'm enjoying the flow of episodes. Um, things. So I wrote here that things came to a head with the gang, and the gang and the police much earlier than I had anticipated. I wanted it to. How it's turned out, I'm like great, but I was worried that they may go the typical route of dragging things out. And while things aren't resolved by any stretch, they've progressed. We're not stuck in this cat and mouse with Ethan and the cops, and he's snitching, and will they catch him? That he's kind of snitching and whatnot. No, we sorted that out by the end of this arc. In fact, we had a whole episode really of him, not yeah, of him being out of the game. Of looking at life. Life was like looking brighter, which I fucking hated because I knew it was episode 6. And we'll come to this later of how I feel about the show. Um, but I had also, and I think this is like good storytelling because immediately after Glinky's death in the first episode, he had Glinky's necklace, that chain, the religious medallion, and it was very much focused on. Like it was a whole thing of like he's got it, and he's feeling guilt, etc. He's gonna hide it, but then I forgot about it. Like I forgot about it after that first arc. Just it was gone. And I was like, cool. And he forgot about it. I forgot about it. So it came back into play when, as you mentioned, the mother's ex boyfriend, ex drug homie, um, he was looking for money. He was trying to manipulate Ethan's mom to steal more from work and what, because she's been taking fabric to feed her children. And she was like, no, thanks, but no thanks. And so he owes money to the brothers, to Lester and his younger brother. And that fucking, okay, it's shitting you want to get angry, but
They're called
also,
the Norki brothers. Norki brothers. That's what they're called, Hlabi.
oh, sweet, the Norki brothers. The, you want to be, I forgot his name now. What's his name? Um,
Mister? Happy?
the one who's Kayla's ex. Do you remember his name? I forgot his
Oh,
name
Kayla's
now.
Hex.
Yes. You want to be mad. I mean, you are mad at him because he brings them to her house saying she's got the money when she clearly doesn't, but he's desperate. But also, it's a thing of like you are pissed at him, but also drug addiction is a problem. You know, um, it is it's addiction, often out of people's control. They have to work really hard to keep it under control. But like in that moment, you're like pissed at this motherfucker, like fucking shit. And you're dragging this innocent woman and her children into your guck because you essentially got drugs on lay-by. Who does that?
Yeah,
It's
but not only that though. Like it was such a poignant look into kind of gender. What do you call it? Gender interfacing or gender interpersonal relations because
mm-hmm.
he I mean, the reason he brought Kayla into it is not because she's the only person in his life, but because he wanted her to pay for jilting him.
Right. Yes, that's true. Yes. Yes, because he kept trying to get back into her life and like spark things up again.
And she
And she
obviously
was
like
like,
she wasn't interested because she's come back and she's really trying to raise her kids and she only stole that fabric
yes.
because she was desperate, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck. So anyway, he brings them to the place, and that's how they find the necklace. Because the one henchman is like, tear the place apart and find some money, because this motherfucker said there's money here, and then they find Glinky's necklace, and yeah, and then I was like, oh shit. So I think that was really well done because I had forgotten, Ethan had forgotten. I was like, oh motherfuck. And then, so that was my one favorite thing, how the story is progressing and like the flow of it. It's nice and flowful. Then Byron, the younger brother, I like his performance. He's not very plucky. You'll mention this a little later, but there are some line readings that are clunky, you know. But for the most part, he is an innocent. He's a child bystander, and sometimes and like a believable. And sometimes there's a lack of believability because I think shows can they can overexpose a character like that because they're really vying for the sympathy aspect of from the viewer. Like, oh, look at this child in peril, look at this child sad all the time. But no, often children are the background. You know, children are not taken seriously for the most part. Children aren't really listened to. They're to be protected. They're seen as innocent, but also, they're seen as non-autonomous. They rely on those around them, and those around them treat them that way. And so he fades into the background, not in a way of like we forget about him, but a lot of his comments and things that he says is outside of the conversation or reacting to the conversation, and it's not really like a whole speechifying thing. But he just be like, "I miss you. You're not around anymore. I'm sulking." Boom. Nice, quick, and easy. And Ethan's like, "Oh shit, yeah, I need to hang out with my brother." Or he'll ask, "Oh, where are you going today?" "No, I'm just going to do some stuff. I'll be back." And he's like, "Do you promise?" "Yeah, I promise." Okay, and you can see, and then it's like a lot in the physical performance of, okay, I'm sad, I'm believing, but like you can see it wearing things. He's being worn down just as a person over the course of the show because of things happening around him. But he's not like the focus, and he's not like, "I've got this idea. Hey, I really want to hang out with you." Now I'm throwing a tantrum. They don't really focus on him in that way, which I think is
Mm,
it's like more believable. I've been a child, a child ignored, in family situations because I'm the baby, and it's like, yeah, okay, just keep him occupied, just tell him a thing. And that's not to say that that is wrong, but I think that's just a reality of people dealing with real shit, and you're 7 years old, 8 years old, and you just want child things. So yeah, so I think that's what makes some of the lines where he is like, okay, you'll talk about it a bit later, a bit more clunky, because for the most part, I think they do him well. I think particularly the scene where those gangsters were in the house looking for the money and they hid under the bed. That was just, I just really liked, sort of thing I can really be like, oh, he did this. And I just liked how they portrayed that in his performance hiding under the bed. I'm really interested what that was like filming, because I mean, I don't know if you know this, but certainly in SA, you can't put a child in a traumatic situation as a performer and know that they're in a traumatic situation. Like, it has to be a game to them. And that moment is not meant to be, these guys might kill me. Nah, nah. We have to pretend and play a game with him. Just like, because he's young and psychologically, you mustn't simulate that he's in actual danger. So with that moment, they might have been like, "Oh, there's a monster that has come in, and it's kind of ugly, and it's got drooling teeth." So he's gonna be like, "Ew, oh, I'm scared." So I'm interested in what that would have been like filming that with him. But yeah, those are my favorite things so far.
mm, very, very nice.
Yeah, very very nice. My wife, I heard that the other day. A couple of my friends, this couple who was so silly and weird. I was at their house, and she came home. We were already there. She's like, "My wife," to her partner, and he's like, Yeah. "I have silly friends." Okay.
You are,
So,
in fact, a silly friend.
uh, posh, Hogwarts, School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Let's go to the next section. Second impressions of the show. We've had our first from the first part. We're now coming back into the world in the second act, episodes 46. Second impressions. What do we have? We'll start with you, Fee.
It's great that we're talking this on the back of you talking about Byron, Ethan's little brother, because
Mm,
in episode 4, I noticed some things that began to crack. So just kind of like
yeah.
saying the caveat is that in general, the the dialogue writing in the show is really, really good. Going back to what
Mm,
Kelly said, like there's a lot of it that has me wondering as well, like how much of it, since she said that, how much of it was left up to the cast to kind of figure out in terms of
yes.
delivery and phrasing. Because I've been watching another South African TV show called Catch Me a Killer,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a police procedural. I love me some fucking police procedurals. And it's
Yeah.
based on a real life story about a woman named Mickey something who was South Africa's first criminal or serial killer profiler because we didn't
Mm-hmm.
have them before her. But the writing in that is so like there are so many turns of phrase that they use, and I'm like, nobody in South Africa would ever use it. And the show is set in the 90s. And
Yeah.
definitely,
Oh,
yes, okay, we did watch American films back then, but we would never really speak in Americanisms. That got a lot more prevalent towards like the 21st century, in the mid 2000s.
can I
Yes.
jump in there and say, not even because we've just been coming out of sanctions, we got a lot of things late also. Um, Anything internationally, really. So there wouldn't be much influence at the time at all,
No.
really.
So I think it might be because South Africans, we loved our action films. I think action films were one of
Mm,
the only things that were allowed to be shown in um, non-white cinemas a lot
mm-hmm.
of the time. So they had first of all Bollywood action films, and Bruce Lee was big on the South African circuit, and then in the 80s,
Yeah. Van
the
Damme.
Die Hard style action movie really, really had its big moment. But like in that show, Catch Me a Killer, there's a line in the first episode where one of the suspects says to Mickey, whatever her name is,
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to no rookie. But he says it in the accent of the Cape Flats because he's from the Cape Flats. But no South African would ever phrase it like that. And I tried looking up the writers, but they write a lot of American stuff. So I'm assuming that they're American writers.
Mm,
And so I'm assuming that a lot of the writing is just sort of based on what they think everybody's going to say because everybody kind of uses the same lingo in their minds.
yes.
Um, all of this is a really long walk for me to walk back to Spinners and say just how well I think they've done with the writing for the most part.
Yeah.
However, some of the writing
However.
shows a few cracks in episode 4. So, specifically, there's an exchange between Byron and Ethan right in the
Mm,
beginning where exactly what they're talking about. Do you remember?
no. I know which part to talk about, but yeah, I can't remember the because I watched episode 4 much earlier than I watched 5 and 6. So it's a bit more blurry.
I think that they're basically having a conversation about their mother being back,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
the dynamic
yes.
between the two
Yes.
brothers is
And Byron is like, she's
changing a little
trying.
bit. Yes, but
Yeah.
Byron, up until this point, has not seemed to have the cognitive prowess of a child older than about 6 years old. I think because they put him in daycare and he's not in school, he must be around 5, 6.
Well, he's in
Even though he's a
school. It's daycares
oh,
for
he's in
after
school.
school.
He's in
Yes, it's
he's
for
he
the
doesn't have a
daycares for
uniform, right?
after. Yes.
So he must still be in that grade 1, 2 area of his life.
I think he is. I think he's 8 years old.
Do you think so? I feel like he's younger than that. I feel like the actor might be 8 or 9 years old, but I feel like the
Yes.
character's younger than that because of the way that he
I th-
speaks, because of how little autonomy he seems to have. At about 9 years old, you start to have a little bit of pushback.
Sure, but if you're a little kid, if you're small, and in that kind of situation as well, I think when you're 8 or 9, still, yeah, you're still very much impressionable in many ways. Um, again,
Impressionable, yes.
I think again, I think in many ways like media and stuff, because like I said earlier, a lot of shows have like precocious kids, where it's just like this kid is really smart, speaks like a 30-year-old, and yes, there are children like that, but by and large, I would argue no. And I think Byron is a more accurate representation of a child between ages 8 to 10. I think, yeah.
Which is why that conversation between him and his brother is so, it feels very out of left field. It feels like they wanted to have something that explored what these brothers must be going through with their mother and their family situation, but they didn't
Mm,
have a person to show Ethan's perspective.
yes.
And so they've given very mature lines to Byron in that she's trying, Ethan. That 8-year-old kid is not gonna have the wherewithal to make that argument.
Do you think part of it was the setting? Because didn't they have this conversation at the pool, or like towards on their way to the pool, or something like that? I think it was one of those
No, they had it
moments
in
where
bed. They were in bed because
kid
they
was
share
in
their same
bed.
bedroom.
Yes, yes.
And Byron essentially complains that Ethan is not around much anymore. But the way that that entire conversation is phrased, it's like a much older kid is having that conversation.
I think it's the language. I think the sentiment is right because again, I've heard in the recent past children say poignant things, but not with that language. Like saying that same sentiment, but not those words. It's like
Yeah,
kind of blunter. I feel like the way a younger child would say it, and not like I don't feel like they would say she's trying. They would say something like it feels better. You know, like I think like a lot
she
of it will
came
come from their
back.
perspective of how of how I'm feeling, of like it feels nice that she's
Yeah,
here. Is
something
like you
that
know what I mean? Yeah.
reinforces, yeah, rather than like empathy is that learned thing, you know?
Mm,
It's something that if the child had a parent around, that's what they would say. But again,
yeah.
they would have to be older. So we're now we're saying the same thing three, four
Yes.
times.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that's where the cracks in some of the writing starts to show, where they really wanted to get certain perspectives, but they obviously didn't have a character to do that, and so they had to use what they had already. And in this
Mm,
case, it just happened to be Byron.
yeah.
But there are some other like really, really poignant things. So I mentioned that I really loved the conversation that Damien has with Ethan after he takes him to chemo.
Mm,
I think it tells you so
mm.
much. That small conversation that they have on like, I think it's Sea Point. It looks like Sea Point.
I think so. It does look like Sea Point. Yeah.
It just they cover so much in like a little 5 minute conversation, all about a Group Areas Act. It talks about displacement and all of the things that Kelly was talking to us about last week
Mm,
about um, communities and the way that people need to kind of survive and how displacement creates certain um,
realities.
yeah, reality is a good way to say that.
Mm,
Um, I think in a non-South African sense, if you kind of look at Daredevil as a comic world, like they explore um on a very like on a less deeper like entrenched social level. I think on a very nice surface level, the concept of
mm,
Daredevil and Hell's Kitchen being run by a kingpin and just being overrun with crime because people are so desperate. I think that applies very nicely. But there's so much more nuance in a South African setting. And I think that that little 5 minute conversation that Damien has with Ethan it explains it all so perfectly with a little bow on top that
Mm,
that again brings you back to how good the writing in Spinners actually is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No notes, no notes. Second impressions from my side. I really like how Amber and Ethan's relationship is progressing. Like the pace that it's progressing at, it feels natural. And like there's definitely something there. I mean, whether it becomes a full blown romance or not, I don't think. I think there's an impression of it, but I don't think it's the point. You know, because they are bigger. I think that's a kind of representation of hope for Ethan, but he's still got such real world things going on. But it's a much more emotional relationship than just like, oh my god, I find it so pretty. It's very obvious that he's like, whoa, and she's like, yeah, this guy. But they again realities, the reality that they're living. She just survived um, a car accident in which she caught on fire. She's got burns that she's recovering from on her torso, on her belly, and yeah, and I mean, I think the easy thing could have been like, oh my gosh, you saved my life. No, no, no. No, it was like, you saved my life. Thank you so much. But what's going on with you? Are you still in that shit? Like they're real people and they're moving through that. And I mean, they eventually have their first kiss, which again, that felt earned, because this was in what, episode 6? So this is we've spent hours with them now as characters, and you're like, yeah, that is earned there. And again, it's maybe funny to say about a kiss, but it didn't feel sexualized, you know? Again, I think it's a physical manifestation of the emotion that they've built up with each other. And I was like, "Mwah, fantastic." And then I like the approach to her trauma with the accident. So, for context, she gets in the accident while spinning because she was like, "Oh my gosh, Ethan's is showing me up. I need to show that I'm better than him." But her car was having issues already, and it just boils over, and I think like a petrol or gas pipe leaks, and that catches fire in the car. And so she's understandably, justifiably traumatized by that. Of like, I don't want to get back in the car yet. And she explains it again poignantly, which to what you're saying earlier. Imagine Byron. It feels like that's how Byron was talking actually. But she's 17, you know, 17, 18. And she was saying, I don't trust myself, and so I can't spin right now. So I like that you're talking about I don't trust myself at the moment. So it was giving very much I will get back to spinning, just not right now. I need therapy. Essentially, was it, and that's what I hope it is. I hope it's not a thing of yeah, she's gonna move on from spinning after that traumatic accident type of thing, and she's gonna become like a manager of the underdogs type of thing. And yeah, she's giving them an opportunity because she's not spinning, so she gave up her spot to the Red Bull event, but yeah, so I think her trauma to the accident is believable. So, but I hope it doesn't hinder the character in the future. That we don't conclude that Amber gave up spinning. I don't want that. Okay, yeah, yeah. And then you were saying something about Damien. You had thoughts on Damien and Ethan.
Mm, Again, back to the like character building that they've been giving us for these 6 episodes.
Mm,
By episode 5, it's so apparent how much Damien needs Ethan.
yeah.
And you asked me whether this was due to Ethan's skills or because he needs him emotionally. And I
Mm,
think that I think, yes, definitely he needs the skill, but I think also because of his whole cancer situation,
yes.
it's an emotional crutch that he's not even become aware of himself. Because
Right.
Ethan now sits outside of the hierarchy in the crew. Because Hercules is the right hand man, sure,
Mm,
but he can't rely on Hercules because
yeah.
that'll set him up for failure in other ways. So he needs to rely on Ethan to take him to his chemo, to keep the secret that he's
Yes.
ill, to kind of keep the facade going. Um, and there's such an interesting through line where Hercules hates Ethan more and more, and it seems like Damien needs Ethan more and more. And that the end of the episode 6, where he's like piss drunk and really upset with Hercules for making him doubt Ethan. It's a
Yes.
very interesting, unexpectedly emotional moment.
Mm. And also, we see the fuckery coming, you know? Because, like, Hercules has already been approached by one of the brothers being like, look, we like that you're loyal. Damien's on his way out, but you can see it. We can see it. When you've decided that it's time for you to have better opportunities come through. And Damien saying stuff like that to Hercules, which is not wrong. If Hercules wasn't pressing this Ethan issue so much, they could have done the heist as normal. But because Hercules was in so much doubt, they changed the plan. And it turns out Ethan didn't give up the location. He gave him the wrong spot. Because he was like, yeah, this is actually my way. Ethan, we have told about how smart Ethan was in terms of his plan. And he's like, I will give you a location, but I will give you, so I will kind of betray, but I won't really. And you will catch me out on that, but I am a minor. He kind of forced their hand of like, you know what, I need to get out of from under the thumb. So I'm gonna fuck them over with this. They're gonna come. So in the perfect world, they would have done the heist. Dame would have gotten the money, and the cops would have come to him and be like, "You little shit, still the wrong way," and then he would have done his thing of like, "Yeah, sure, okay, what now? Charge me, charge me." And by the charging, then he can also be like, "Yo, Dame, yeah, I did get your back, but look, I'm in jail for you now. I need out." Like it just, yeah, it was smart by him, and then ended up, yeah, yeah. I was impressed with Ethan. Ethan's a smarty pants.
He's an impressive lighty. He has
He
a
is,
very
though. I mean, he was
impressive
a straight
lighty.
A student. You know, he is a smart dude, and like he's that perfect mix of he is book smart and street smart, and then has like these driving skills. It's just like this guy could take over the world, huh? Ethan, yeah. Okay,
That
let's
makes it
get to. Oh,
twice as
sorry.
sad, Floods. That makes it twice as sad, the situation that he has to live in.
Yeah, yeah, but like, how many people have that tragedy in terms of circumstance? You know, yeah. Um, let's get to theme. What are we covering in theme?
So I propose that instead of themes, because I think pretty much we talked about themes last week, and I think the same themes are present. I said instead, in this section, we are going to talk about all the instances that made us feel anxious beyond belief. Sorry, I thought he was gonna like be my hype man. There he is. He says hi if you can hear him.
No, we couldn't hear him.
Okay, never mind. My cat says meow.
What's
So
up?
instead of theme in a nutshell, what we're gonna do is talk about every bit that made us
Yeah.
anxious, and maybe talk a little bit about why.
Okay, so it's very easy for me. Everything. Every like I
So
complain to you all the time. Every
yeah,
moment of the show has me. I can't. I can't watch the show. I don't like the show in actual reality. I'm like, no, you don't make me feel nice. You know, it's a toxic relationship at this point. I'm like, no, you don't make me feel nice. You never compliment me, you know, or when you do, I know something's coming around the corner. Like you don't pay attention, you don't give me, you're not kind to me, like ever. Actually, you give me these small moments, you know, hey, sweetheart, don't worry about it, sweetheart. And I'm like, ooh, yay. And then bam, another thing is happening to Ethan. Oh, bam, the mom is in trouble. Oh, no, fall off. So everything, the whole show. And when he got out, Fear, when he was like, "Oh man," so how he essentially got jumped out because the heist goes wrong, right? They catch the car in transit as opposed to getting it at the pickup or drop off point, and they take too long. The armed security comes and they get into a shootout and they're running away. And they essentially have to leave the box, the package that had the cash money in it, and so then Hercules is like, "You fucker, no, how do they know you betrayed us?" Blah 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 blah. and because I think he was told by the white guy, the inside cop, that well, no, but they knew Ethan got arrested. They're like, nah, you've been snitching. Yes, sorry, yeah, they knew already. And they were like, it was your fault, nah, nah. And then Ethan confesses that, no, I gave him the wrong location, etc. So then, instead of killing him, because he was telling the truth that he gave him the wrong location, Damien jumps Ethan out, essentially. He beats him to a pulp, to within an inch of his life, which was, that was intense. And I was like, oh my God, again, anxiety. I was like, oh no, he's going to beat him to death. Are we actually going to lose the main character guy in episode 6 and the rest of the episodes about to fall out, like the last two episodes? Oh my gosh. So no, he doesn't die. But then he's out, right? So we talked about that he's now out of the gang life and whatnot. And I was like, you fuckers. It's episode 6. No way. No way we're just moving on now. He's gonna try to figure out the spinning thing and try what are you gonna do to him? And lo and behold, they find the chain at the beach about to get assassinated. Like, fuck off. So yeah, this show fills me with all the anxiety, and I fucking hate it. I can't watch an episode back to back, except this time I did. The transition from 5 to 6, it's, I don't know, something about those two together. They just like they go hand in hand. The pacing is phenomenal, but also screw you for that. Also, it's a trick. It's a trick. So yeah, those are my moments that make me anxious. The whole thing. Please give me yours.
Valentine has some that he wants to give us.
What's up, Vivi?
Um,
Valentino.
would you like to give us another rant about every time Kayla made you anxious?
No, no, it's just like I get the desperation, but so like when she gets called into the office and we think they've caught her, and like no, and she's like, oh, they've caught me, fuck, it's over. And then she gets a promotion. And I was like, if you think I'm gonna feel guilty in this moment, no, yeah, she deserves a promotion. Fuck. It's one instance where I'm like, bad getting you good, sharp. That's fine. But also now I'm like, she's gonna get caught out somehow. Actually, she's even in an even worse position because now she's being put in charge of everything. And I'm like, no. So no, why'd you have to mention that? I wasn't even thinking about that. But like,
I just
and now
knew
she's
you had
killed a
more.
man. Ugh, and now, I think she might die because they're gonna. Man, fuck, fuck. No, you've not put me in a good space because now, like, the whole thing makes me anxious. Fear. I care about these people. They've done a good job of making me give a shit about them. All of them. The ones, even to a degree, fucking Damien, where you're like, you're a fucking kid, man, and your wife, you reckless piece of shit. And then also, what happens when Herc finds out that you're dying? And also, what is he gonna do now that because he might reach a point where he's like, fuck it, I haven't been able to save money for my wife and kid. I'm dying. Fuck it. Blaze of glory type of shit. So yeah, all of these people. Hercules, he could pop off at any moment. He's very loyal. But that only goes so far in some instances. What if he now goes after Ethan? I don't know. Please talk.
Thank you. That was beautiful.
Nah, protect.
I think it's a nice turn of events from where we started this pod about a series that didn't have us care about its characters because we were too busy wondering what the fuck is going on. So I think it really speaks
Yeah.
to how wonderful the writing actually is in this series
Yes.
and how people
Yes.
are just missing out. Like we're anxious people. Hlabi is a fan of Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't know how you watch that. I don't know how you watch that. That is anxious for me. Like, why
No.
are you making me care about a character and then I know you're gonna kill him? I know. Like, you're showing me all the backstory. So I know you're gonna kill him. I love this character too much. So
By and large, I'm fine with it. That's how I do it. Like, I love tragic stories. I grew up being dope, like not dope, like being very much into Greek myths and Greek tragedies, and being like, the drama, the sadness, Romeo and Juliet by Baz Luhrmann, and I was like, oh, love is doomed to die. I was like very much a self-torturing, emo-ish type of teen person, and so for the most part, I'm fine with it. I don't know what the fuck it is in Spinners. I'm just like, fuck you.
Close it is. Like we know these communities. We've
Yeah.
grown up in or alongside of them, and I think that that makes it so much more visceral, so much more real.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. So we haven't gone to anxiety. What's your anxiety?
Oh, pretty much all the same things that you mentioned.
Cool. Sweet. Bloody shit. Bloody shit. Bloody shit, man. Fuck. Okay, so I think this segues nicely into what we think happens next. Our final segment. And within my anxiety induced space, I don't know, because of all the avenues that it could take, but I think Ethan gets into the competition. Um, but I think his mom gets in trouble somehow for killing that guy, for killing the brother, either with the gang or the cops. But I mean, it's self defense, and with what's happened recently with Ethan and whatnot, and circumstantial, etc. And the cop, I forgot her name now. The lady from Joburg, I forgot her name now.
Do you know why? But in my head, it's Balesa.
No, I think that might be the actress's real name, actually.
Oh,
Um, I can't, or maybe I can't remember her name now. But I think maybe they make a deal either with the police or Damien's gang because they've taken out a part rival, or like a mixture of both. But my hope is that they get out of it. Yeah, I don't know, but I do think she confesses at her job. I think she confesses is what I don't think she gets caught. I think she goes, look, actually, I think having killed a man, you know, I think she's like, fuck, dude, there are worse things. And you know what? I want to provide for my children and show them right. I've spent the last few years showing them wrong, and so I'm going to show right. I feel like she confesses, but yeah, I think they spin. I At this point, I don't actually think anybody dies, which is kind of worse in terms of the anxiety, because there's kind of a release of like I've been anxious. Oh, that person is dead, and I can be upset, but it can be cathartic. I have this feeling I'm going to get to the final minutes of episode 8, and then take a breath and be like, yo, no one died. Fuck, okay. But that's a worse place to be, because that means I'm just anxious the whole time that someone's gonna die. But I have this feeling that none of our protagonists are actually gonna die, which, if that's the case, I think would be refreshing. Yeah.
so funny that we're like, that's refreshing. The protagonist doesn't die. We've all been jaded by Game of Thrones. The obsession with shocking audiences by killing the protagonist. I
Yes.
think I think we're done. I think
Yes.
we're done, you guys. There are things
Yeah,
that
for
are
a while.
happening in the
Yeah.
world. We need our protagonists to survive and
Yeah.
make it to the nice place now. I think we're
And their
okay.
homies survive.
We
Yeah.
don't need shocks, you know?
Because we've had deaths
By the
already.
way,
Like Clinky's gone. Like we've had deaths. So like yeah.
Trevor,
Sorry, yes.
R.I.P. Trevor.
Trevor. Oh, Trevor.
Um, by the way, the cop's name is Pulmeza.
Pumeza, that's why you thought with the P.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um,
Pumeza.
for me, I'm. Hlabi and I have always had this game of trying to guess. I don't know if you can hear my cat. He has a lot to say. He's just as
Yeah, we
anxious
can
as
hear
we
him
are.
now. Yeah. I think you're
Um,
making him anxious, and me. I think we're making him. He's like, oh
I
my
think
gosh,
so too.
what are we upset about? Let's be upset.
Come here, Valentine. Yes, come here, Val.
Valentino. Oh,
So
Casanova.
Um, I think we've spoken before on the pod. Head kisses for my boy. I think we've spoken before about how you and I have this game of like watching a thing and then because
Yeah.
our writer brain goes into like, oh, this is how
We see
it
the
goes.
patterns.
We see
Yeah.
the pattern and we're like, right, that's where it's gonna end up. And a lot of people are like, oh, that means it's unoriginal. No, that means it's, satisfying the functions of the genre, you guys.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
yes, it's good to break things, but that's a once in a while thing. A lot
I
of the
think so, yeah.
times, we just want it to be, yeah, exactly, Valentine. We just want to be satisfied by the end of consuming something. Um,
Mm.
with that being said, I had no idea where episode 6 was even going. I definitely thought that Kayla was going to get caught. I thought she was already caught by the second time that
Yeah.
she pinched fabric. Even before the
Yes.
whole not interview, before the whole promotion came up, I was like, yeah, no, that's it. Second time, why did you go and do that? You're caught now. You're caught. I actually wrote it into the
Mm.
overview and then went back and was like, nope, that's not what happened. With that being said, have no idea. Um, Literally in our little shared document, I've said, fuck, I don't know what happens next.
Yeah.
I think, just like you, that Ethan gets to the competition and that his mum gets the rap for killing Lester.
Yeah.
Um, oh no, that's you. Felt
Those are
that.
my words. Yes.
Oh my gosh, see, I just left it blank and
Yes.
now I'm plagiarizing Hlabi.
Yeah. Yeah, for the second I was like, you wrote where? But I don't want to jump his I don't want to give it
My
away.
bad, you guys. I wrote this. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, you didn't write fuck all.
it doesn't help. It doesn't help that besides the anxiety, both of us have been ridiculously ill for 2 weeks.
Yeah, back to back. It was you first and then me, and it's
Like, how did I make you sick? I'm in a different country. Right.
No
So,
man, there's a bug going around, I think planet wide, honestly. It's like
yeah,
it's traveling on
yeah,
aeroplanes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I hope that everybody is feeling as anxious as we are.
I hope no. That's not a good thing to hope for people. What's wrong with you?
Listen, if we are anxious about things that are happening in TV shows, it's a great distraction from the things that we're anxious about in real life.
No, but then we're just anxious 24/7, bro. Like that means we don't get a break from anxiety. Like that's such horrible logic, bruh.
This is when some of
You're
us
such a
live,
mis
okay?
you're such a misery loves company person. Fuck.
I love commiseration, Slavi. It is what makes
Oh,
the world go
Lord.
round.
Oh, okay. Let's get the fuck out of here. On that note.
On that note.
On that note. Okay. Peace and chicken grease, Valentine. Peace and chicken grease, Feeya. Thank you so much for this episode, and thank you to you, listener, for listening.
Thanks, people. We
Yeah.
are sorry. This was a crazy episode, but it's a crazy 3 episodes that we covered. So,
Yeah, boy. Say bye, Fifi.
bye.
Bye. That was normal. Oh, shit.
I don't even know if this overview makes sense, man. There was so much happening. I was just like, ha.
Mm. Okay. I'm ready when you are for the count in.